gotta tell me what to do. You know, I was starting to kind of get offended by, like, I know I'm short, but I'm like, not that short. So, yeah, this whole thing has been coming to me. Actually, for over a week now. I didn't realize that it was something that God was giving to me for this reason until someone said it. And then anyway, I'm going to start with John chapter 11. I'm going to start in verse 1. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was one who anointed the Lord. Now this part right here stood out to me. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume, wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill. That doesn't happen until chapter 12. So that was just interesting to me.
That is very interesting. I don't know that I've ever picked up on that.
Yeah, it is in chapter 12, so, yeah. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus. Lord, he whom you love is ill. But when Jesus heard it, he said, this illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let us go to Judea again. The disciples said unto him, Rabbi, the Jews were just now trying to stone you, and you're going to go back there. And Jesus just kind of breaks it down to them, tells them like it is, like it gets told to me so many times. Jesus said, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Those who walk during the day do not stumble, because they see the light of this world. But those who walk at night stumble, because the light is not in them. Yeah, that was a moment that I think they were like, oh, and just kind of hushed, like a lot of times I did. After saying this, he told them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I'm going there to awaken him. The disciples said unto him, Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will be all right. Jesus, however, had been speaking about his death, but they thought that he was referring to merely sleep. Then Jesus said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead. Like, how much more plainly? Lazarus is dead. He's dead. For your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him. I'm going to skip down here. I'm just going to stop right there for a minute. Father God, I come to you now. I ask that you would give me the words to speak. I pray the ears would be open. I pray that you would speak to hearts, and everybody would hear what they need to hear. Father, it's in your name I ask. Amen. When, right here where I stopped, Thomas, and this isn't really the sermon, but Thomas said to his disciples, well, let us go also that we may die with him. I mean, that's some devotion. Let's just go and lay down and die with him. But I'm going to skip down here to verse 18. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had come unto Martha and Mary to console them about their brother. But when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him. I remember a story that I was told growing up. It was my mom and grandma told it to me many times. My mom had just gotten a kitten, and it was, a small kitten when she was a kid. And they were in the kitchen cooking, and my grandma had opened the refrigerator to get something out to cook with, and she reached around and turned and kind of just slammed the door, how we do. The kitten's head, he was going into the refrigerator, and she turned and shut it, and the poor little kitten just boop. She said my mom got very upset. This is her precious little kitten. And he laid there on the floor, and she said, well, I'm going to have to wait for your dad to get home so he can bury it. So they finished what they were doing. They left the kitchen, and that cat just lay there. A little bit later, a few hours later, when my grandpa got off work, she said, you've got to go in there. There's something bad happened. The kitten is dead. Not like Jesus. He's dead. He's dead. So my grandpa went in there, and he said, where's cat at? She's just laying right in front of the refrigerator. I said, there ain't no cat in there. She said, yeah, it is. Right there. Well, the cat was gone. The cat was on the back porch, long story short. The cat was on the back porch drinking water. He wasn't dead. They thought he was dead, but he wasn't. And that, it just, I can picture my mom being a little child and this poor little kitten there. But that is kind of how I feel that this story had happened. When Jesus got the message, all right, they were good friends. Him, Jesus, Mary, Martha, Lazarus, they were buddies. They hung out. And so Mary, she is like, not Mary, Martha. Martha, I call her Martha Mouth, because Martha's just always, she's got something to say. She does. But, so, it says, accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister, after having heard Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. They didn't understand. If last week I was sick, and I had, sent a message out, hey, I'm dying, I'm sick. And rightfully so, I couldn't stand up, I couldn't look, I couldn't even open my eyes one day because I was so dizzy. I couldn't function. And so I'm sending messages out. I'm sick. Hi, I'm sick. I'm sick. Thankfully, somebody heard my message, but it's interesting to me how the sister sent a message to Jesus. Verse 3. Lord, he whom you love is ill. Not, hey, Lazarus, he's sick. He who you love. I'm constantly reminding people, hey, you love me. I love you. I'll say I love you because I do love you, but I'm wanting that response. I'm wanting that, I love you. I love you too. And it's interesting. She was reminding him, he who you love is sick. And Jesus stayed 2 more days. And, I can imagine, I'm sitting here, I'm sick. And I'm sending out the message, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. And Pastor Crystal brought me medicine. But had she said, all right, I'll come, I got you. I'll come take care of you. I got you. And that day had passed, and the next day, and I'm like, Hello? You coming? You here? How many times do we not understand God's plan? He's got a plan. He knows. He knows what he's doing. But we don't get it. And so we're like, well, what are you doing, God? I mean, I asked you for this. I asked for that. What are you doing? And then we go down where he said, and y'all, I don't have notes here. I just have my Bible. So you're getting it how it's coming to me. Verse 20. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha, Martha, mouth of the south, said to Jesus, Lord, if you had not been here, my brother would not have died. If you would have got up and come, he wouldn't be dead. He would still be alive. So here she was telling him, like it is. But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him. She still, even though she didn't understand, and she's like, if you would have just come, my brother would be alive. She still called him Lord. He never lost his position in her life because she didn't understand what he was doing. She didn't understand why her brother is now dead, but she still called him Lord. Jesus said to her, verse 23, your brother will rise again. Martha said unto him, again, mouth Martha, said, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? She said, yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world. When there's so many times, and I know that I'll think that things were supposed to go a certain way. I should be here. This shouldn't have happened. But people get mad. They get mad because, well, I'm a Christian now, and I can't. My lights got cut off. So I'm not talking to God. God let my power get turned off. If he loved me, my power wouldn't have got turned off. Well, kind of the blessing that you had candles. But people so many times do that. Now Jesus had not come, this verse 30. Jesus had not come yet come to the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. The Jews who were with her in her house consoling her saw Mary get up quickly and go out. They followed her because they thought that she was going to the tomb to weep there. Then Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, and she knelt at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had not been here, my brother would not have died. It's just right there where he says, Jesus stayed there. She went and met Jesus. There's many times that Jesus, God, he will stay at a distance. She went and met him. And he just stood off at a great distance, I think maybe he was kind of, they're going to be upset. So he didn't want to, when somebody's mad at you and they don't really know why that you did what you did, but they're mad at you. And so you're not just going to go, whoopoo, here I am, hi. No, you're going to stand at a distance and you're going to say, hey, so, about that, let me explain. and give you reason why. But he was about to show them. He said, verse 34, he said, "Where have you laid him? Lord, come see." And the shortest verse in the Bible, Jesus wept. He wept. He wanted to show them he was crying with them. He was giving empathy. He was showing he was hurting too. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" But some of them said, Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" So you've got two situations here. You've got the Lord, even though you didn't, I know you can. I know who you are. And then here, couldn't the man that gave the blind man vision, couldn't he have fixed it? He didn't have to die. So you've got these two areas where there's so many times that we're like, well, yeah, we're tenderhearted, but then it's like the angel and the devil, and they're both just at you. But they, couldn't they have kept him from dying? Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. Jesus says, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the dead man, once again said, she's always talking, y'all. Just always got something to say. "Lord, there is already a stench because he has been dead 4 days." Okay, Martha, thank you for your input. There's something interesting about that number 4. The Jews, 3 days, someone could be dead. And within that 3-day period, there was hope of them coming back. They believe their spirit, their soul wasn't gone yet. But after that 3rd day, it's over. He stinks. He stinks, Lord. He stinks. And she said, Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So, it's like he got a little bit of attitude with her. Didn't I tell you? Like, really, lady? Really? These are people that hung out with him. And she's over here questioning him. I'm sure he was like, really? So, they took the stone away. Now, he said, "Take away the stone." Martha spoke up. Now, I don't know if he was talking directly to Martha and told Martha, "Hey, take the stone away." Because physically, I don't know how she might have been, muscle woman of the year. But I don't think she could have rolled that stone away by herself. And that's where we need our friends. We need people, good, godly people in our lives. When we have a stone in our life, no matter what it is, they will help us move it. They will help us do what we need to do. So they took away the stone, and Jesus looked upward and said, "Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me." That says a lot. Because Jesus said, "Father, I thank you for having heard me." See, Jesus and God had already talked about this. They had already had a meeting. Jesus fully knew what he was doing. Jesus knew that by the time he gets there, he's going to be dead. Jesus and God, they've already talked. He is our intercessor. He goes to the Father for us. He goes to him, and he kind of is almost kind of like a defense attorney. He stands in for us as an intercessor. And they had already talked about it. How many times Martha's like, "He stinks." He'd already talked to God. They had already had a meeting. about Lazarus. This was already settled. This was going to happen. Lazarus wasn't going to remain dead. They didn't know that. How many times has there already been? God knows what he's going to do. If we'll just get up and move the stone. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you sent me. Then when he had said this, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in the cloth. And Jesus said, go and bind him and let him go. He was alive. Can you imagine? Okay, here he is. He's bound, tight, with little pieces of cloth. He didn't just come strolling out. No, he was shuffling. He couldn't walk. He needed help. He needed people to help him get the stuff, get the bindings off. I'm getting there. There's so many times. Okay, he was free. Jesus has set him free. We're alive. He still had the remnants of his death on him, and we have to take the grave clothes off, because we're not in the grave anymore. We're not. When I read this about, I stuck here for a little while about move the stone, but he stinks. How many times is God telling you something in your life? Move the stone. But if I moved the stone, with me it was the selling of my mom's house, my late mom's house. Sell it, get rid of it. And my hesitation was, but I grew up in that house. But. And right now, here I stand. I still don't know what the other side of this is. But I have full faith that God has something planned. And it's going to be much more than that house that, unfortunately, now is in the ghetto. It will be somewhere where I can go. I can spend time with God. But I have to move the stone. I have to sell the house. When we sit and we focus on the death, but he's dead. But he died. But why weren't you here? But what if? But why not? We end up tying ourselves down to the whats, the why nots, the when, where, why, to a God who knows everything, the omnipotent. He knows everything. He's got it planned out. He's got your life planned out. He has known you since the day you were born. He's known you before that, but since the day you were born, he has known you. And when he tells you to do something, when you know that you should do something, when you know you should go here, you should do that, when you should speak to this person, when you should pray for them, there's many times where God will be like, hey, pray for that person. There's a lady standing in the aisle of Walmart looking at the clearance stuff. I'm not getting in this woman's way. No. Pray for her. But God, God, well, you don't know the blessings. We don't know, because that lady that you just prayed for could be a real estate agent. She could be whoever that could be an answer to a prayer. But because you wouldn't be obedient and stop and walk up to somebody and say, hey, can I pray for you? You'll never receive that blessing. You'll never, ever. We stay tied into our sin. We stay tied into addiction. We stay tied into whatever it is in our life that is keeping us in that grave. We're wrapped up in grave clothes and we're in the grave. There's two things that we have to do. Number one, roll the stone away. You have to, that is the point of, yes, God. Okay, God. Whatever you say, God, I will do it. But you have to remove the grave clothes. Because you'll be just sifting along. Take the grave clothes. Take your grave clothes off. You ain't dead no more. You're alive. Jesus done raised you from the dead. But you're still over here and just, well, I can't. Take the grave clothes off. You're alive. You're alive now. You're not dead. There's too many times that I think that we don't address our problem. We don't address the sin. We don't address the addiction. We don't address our marriage. We don't address our kids. We deal with it. We sit back and we deal with it. And God's saying we manage our addiction. We tend to say, okay, well, I'm not as bad as that person. We manage it. Our marriages that are dysfunctional and going all over the place, we deal with it. We learn to adapt to our sin. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to handle it. I'm going to roll the stone away. People, we come to know Jesus. There's two yeses. There's two times that you say yes to Jesus. There's time number one where you come to know Him. There's that time where wherever you are, if you're in church or wherever, that you meet the Lord Jesus. And it's an awesome, it's yes, I will follow you wherever you go. Yes, God. And we go on. And then God says, all right, I need you to teach that Sunday school class. What? I need you to minister to that girl that came to church today. I need you to minister to that guy in the grocery store line. I need you to be a witness for me. But I'm a child of, I'm a Christian. But there's that second yes that lets him know. We meet somebody and you're like, okay, this is a cool person, and you start dating, and then here comes the question, will you marry me? Okay, well, there was a lot happening before that question. Are you going to be their girlfriend, their boyfriend? Are you going to be singly committed to that person in a relationship? Yeah. Okay. Will you marry me? There's a second yes. There's a second commitment. That is your, and it's continually going the whole time. But that second yes, God. I met Jesus many years ago in a campground in Camp Joy, somewhere in Georgia. I don't know, but I was a teenager. It's where I met the Lord. And yes, God, I will follow you. Yes, God. Let's fast forward 20 years. And, I've been, kind of over here doing my own thing. And God says, I want you to preach. What? Well, Lord, I tell people about you. I want you to preach. Remember we had this discussion 15 years ago, and yeah, but yeah, there's a second yes. You've got to roll the stone away, and then you got to take the grave clothes off, because the grave clothes, you're still in your sin. The grave clothes, you ain't gonna go nowhere, just like Lazarus couldn't, without them removing. He says, unbind him and let him go. Let him go. How many times? Jesus is saying to you right now, take off your grave clothes. Let's go. But we're like, I'm alive. The stone, they moved the stone, but I'm just going to show up my grave clothes. And just, that's not how it works. Because you won't ever be anything. You will never do what God is telling you to do until you move past your thought, you move past what you think in life of how things should go. I think I should weigh about 100 pounds less. I don't know. But, okay, then you do something. I can't just say, well, I think I should weigh a lot less, but here I sit. Okay, well, God's giving me beautiful outdoors, this 1,050 degrees, but neither here nor there. I can go and walk. I can go do something. We want to whine about where we are, about what's going on, about, well, I can't put down the bottle of liquor because, take your grave clothes off, man. Take your grave clothes off. Come, get the stone, go, stop making excuses for your problems. Stop making excuses for where you are in life. You say you want to be here. Okay, God's not just going to pick you up like a chess piece and move you over here. No, He's going to give you a roadmap. And the roadmap is this right here. This is His Word. This is your roadmap. This will tell you anything. It does not matter what problem that we encounter. There were no Dodge Chargers in the Bible. There was no, Hemi motors, nothing. But my car right now, the check engine light's on. And if any, that eco light is wonderful when you drive a V8. Well, I don't know, but if I read here and I spend time with God, obviously our common sense tells us to take it to a mechanic. But I don't have the money for a mechanic, God. What do I do? Trust Him, and you do what He says, and you never know. The man that you prayed for in the grocery store is the mechanic. That's what you're going to take the car to. See, Jesus and God have already talked this out. They already know what's going on, and I'm just using the example as a car. They've already talked it out. They've already got it's already done. They already know. Just waiting for you to follow the steps and do what He says do. And everything will turn out. I promise. Because it has for me. I'm standing up here without the first note, without nothing. I have no clue. But I said, all right, God, let's do this. And He has put words in my mouth more than one time. Because, I have this wonderful pastor that likes to say, hey, I'll preach. And I have to say, yeah, I'm not going to turn a chance down to speak the word of God. I'm not. But you've got to have faith. You've got to believe. And you've got to trust in Him. Or I would have stood up here and went, hey, there's a man named Lazarus, y'all. So trust God. Have faith. Faith without works is dead. You can sit here and I've got faith. I believe that God is going to take me wherever. Okay? Well, how about you start planning because you're not going to be a child. He's not going to, whoo. He's going to tell you what steps to make, what to do, where to go, to beat your addiction, to beat your sin, to whatever it is, your marriage, your children. He's going to tell you what to do. And it's not going to be instant. It's not going to be a fix it now. He's not going to say, well, you buy your husband a new guitar, everything will be fine. No. He's going to tell you step by step, little by little, what you need to do. You have to listen to him. You have to.
Can I make an observation? I thought it was pretty cool that in the grave clothes, you notice that the other Jews that were sobbing with Mary and Martha, God was speaking to the community, take off the grave clothes.
Yeah.
Unbind Lazarus.
Yeah.
Because when we recognize the stench of death in that person that has just been set free is coming out, you made a good observation. He's shuffling out, he's making that effort. But until the community recognizes the love for each other, unbinding those strips of